Welcome for one more show of Neighborhood News. We are back. It's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Channel 95 here on this channel. You can watch one more show of the Neighborhood News. Now I think I have this camera here. Last week I was on that camera over there. It's okay. But we are back again, and para português listeners, bem-vindos para mais programa das suas notícias da sua vizinhança. Não se esqueça que nós estamos a preparar já mais programa em língua portuguesa para si e que vai para o ar muito em breve. Para este programa, fique conosco. Bernadette, again with me, thank you for being here. I just want to translate what I said for the Portuguese listeners, that we are in the works for a new Portuguese show.
Yes, we are.
Here. I believe I already sent all the information to Steve, so he's on adding everything for the openings and the closings of the show, and very soon we will have a bilingual show, Portuguese and English, here on this channel. Just stay tuned for the new show.
And just a little bit of info on the bilingual channels, TV shows. Historically, they tend to actually lose viewers. Mm-hmm. The reason being is you have to go through the whole process of translating each time mm-hmm. back and forth. Mm-hmm. Right. And that takes up a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So guests can't do that. My recommendation has always been that you do a program which is strictly in Portuguese. Mm-hmm. I think that you would be more effective that way in reaching out to our viewership. Mm-hmm. You know, it's hard to believe that 4 years ago, mm-hmm. or just about 4 years ago, you, and John created this program. And this is one of my babies. It's growing up. And that was under what was then known as Troy City Productions.
It's out of diapers already.
Yeah, and yeah, it is. It's been out of diapers for a while. It's like a puppy, you know? And we've watched it grow. Mm-hmm. And we've seen the necessary portion of what this type of information source does, not only for our community, for the general public. The LA Times recently did an article in regards to non-regular or non-mainline media and non-mainline news sources. We're actually under the non-mainline news sources, unlike ABC, CBS, Fox, we have a higher viewership. Mm-hmm. Because we have a bigger arena where we broadcast our shows. Neighborhood News, The Richard Urban Show, Spindle City Straight Talk. We have a new show coming online live next Wednesday. Mm-hmm. When this airs, it will actually be the day after, on the 23rd, during Resurrection Week. It will be live. It will be taking live callers. I can't bring out the name of the host yet or anything because it's still kind of hush-hush. Mm-hmm. But that will be another show which is coming out, which is again bringing necessary news and information to the public. As we know, our main news sources here in Fall River, which is a Gatehouse Media newspaper, a private entity radio station, and even the Portuguese radio station there is also basically owned by a private entity. The news tends to be slanted. Mm-hmm. You know, I refer to our local newspaper as the Pravda. For people who remember what Pravda is, that was the communist newspaper, which was state-controlled. I refer to one of the radio stations as Radio Pravda, and I refer to the Portuguese station as Radio Salazar. Because it is so jilted, it's so slanted towards the incumbent officers, the incumbent elected officials. And it's time for you, the viewer, you, the general public, to understand that not all the news you get is factual. Mm-hmm. You get bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. It's a lie by omission. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, we all make mistakes. And mm-hmm. even in this area, I've made a couple, and I have immediately come out and we've done a retraction. And unlike our local newspaper or our radio station, which I've never heard a retraction from, we do it very publicly. Mm-hmm. We don't do it in small print on the 30-second page where nobody can read it or see mm-hmm. it. We do it right as soon as the show begins, because we believe in a news source that's trustworthy. But you can only get so much out in a half an hour, just like on this show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It makes it very difficult.
For 2 weeks, I was back and forth with the name that the Americans and the Portuguese people will be familiar. To me, it has to be a name that don't have to be translated, that the name himself will translate.
Right.
And I think, did you heard the name?
No, you haven't. I'm only, I'm only like, one of the guys in charge of production around here. I don't get anything.
I call the new show Amigos.
Oh, that's nice.
Amigos, I think the Americans will relate to Amigos, and the Portuguese will relate because it's done the same way. You write them the same way, you just pronounce them different. So Amigos, I think, is the new Portuguese show.
Nice.
Well, you know that there's already a show by that name, right?
Oh, really?
On Main Live Media. It's called Friends.
Friends. That's it. It's translate.
So you got to be careful about copyright infringement.
Yeah.
But
this one, it's in Portuguese.
yes,
It's
but
Amigos.
Hey, they translated it to Spanish and Portuguese, and it's
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
same way.
the same way.
Yeah,
So,
it's spelled the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Thank
have
God it's not done on Fridays, or else would be the Three Amigos.
Yeah, but it gets to be a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
I've enjoyed doing this now for this show it's almost 4 years, but we were in production for 5 before that when we took over the Richard Urban show. And Richard had been around for a long time doing a veterans show, and for some reason, like it's happening now with the show, the topic it's kind of hard to find guests, as you know, and that's one of the big things.
Yeah.
And the key is that we've been looking for interns. And as you know, we've had a couple.
Yeah.
We had a couple of very good interns, which have gone on. One now works for ABC6.
Cool.
Another one has been picked up by NBC. So, what we do on these shows is get people used to working behind the camera, in front of the camera, in research, and they put together a lot of information.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to do sometimes.
I remember the last one. She grew fast. She went from here to the governor.
Yep.
And right from the governor, like 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after,
Yeah,
she got picked up by what's the station in Providence?
That's ABC6.
ABC6.
That's Nisa Vinhas.
Vinhas, that's right.
She is Dominican.
Yes.
She came to us one day because she knew we were looking for interns. She was a CCRI student, which is very interesting because most of our interns come from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
They don't come from Fall River.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that kind of bothers me because we have some really good young people in Fall River who are trying to figure out how to do this. Where can they do it? And we have here at Bristol Community College, we have a huge studio. We have an edit room in the back that we can do just about anything with. And on our side, we have research tools that nobody else has. So it gets to be very interesting when we're teaching these people how to get the information. So we have in Fall River, we have a film company called Whatever Films or Whatever Brothers Films. Yeah, Whatever Brothers Films, and they do some very funny, funny videos. They're funny videos. They're not news.
Right.
I think the Fall River series was one of the that was
funny.
hysterical.
That was
I mean,
funny.
kind of vulgar, but you know what?
Yeah.
It sells. But these are people who had an idea. They had something they wanted to do, and they did it. We have an entire communications program at Bristol Community College. We have another communications program at UMass Dartmouth. We have another at Bridgewater State College. We have one at CCRI. We have one at New England Tech. So all of these students are looking for a place to go to hone their skills, to make the videos, to go out there and get picked up by stations. What many of you probably don't even know, that because this show has come under the Southcoast Media umbrella, we are affiliated with CNN and NBC networks.
Oh, check that out.
Okay, and what people out there probably don't know is NBC isn't NBC anymore. While it still has the call sign of NBC, it's actually Comcast, which we're all very familiar with. So just by having those ties is amazing. Now, as you're talking about Nisa went and she went to an interview that we had set up for her with the governor's office, and she became part of the governor's Ethnic Media Relations Commission.
Awesome.
Okay, somebody from, she's not even from Massachusetts, but she's with a Massachusetts-based company.
Right.
And based upon the recommendations that we gave her, they placed her on that commission, and she still serves on that commission to this day. All of our people on Spindle City Straight Talk are members of the Governor's Press Corps. That's not easy to do, and we get press passes, and we treat those like gold because we get into courthouses, we don't get searched. We get into the State House, we don't get searched. When we walk in and we have questions, they answer us almost immediately. We have access to the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, to their press staff,
So
to that
that's-
information.
Now people know why you got the answer so fast.
Yeah, that's why. And-
Because
and-
a lot of calls are on hold and yours been answered.
Well, it's not so much that my calls are getting answered, because the mayor's calls can get answered and the city council's calls can get answered. But when they call, a lot of them don't know who to call.
Right.
Because of and believe me, it was a lot of days walking around the State House. I mean, Alan Sylvia used to laugh and go, "Why didn't you tell me you were coming? Well, we would have had lunch." I'm like, I didn't think about it. I've got work to do. So it's very interesting to see how it works out. And I've had such a great time doing this. A lot of people don't know, and you do. You were at my famous speech this week, weren't you, last week? No, you weren't. You missed it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I missed the
yeah.
last
My final speech for the Competent Communicator program in Toastmasters, which, if anyone out there wants to become a better public speaker, please come to Toastmasters. We do a great job. Actually went into my background, which many people don't know. So I thought it was very funny that when a lot of people heard it, they were like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yes, very much so." And
I started the program, and I have to say that I'm having fun with. I already did the icebreaker. I already did
Yep.
the first speech. So I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
but again, this
One
is
of the probably the first members when they started.
Yes,
so,
you were.
Yeah.
And the thing is that this is another program that we have here in Fall River that's been around for over 90 years.
Wow.
This club is a new club, and the great part about it is that you develop such great friends, not only from Fall River, but from East Providence, from Taunton, from Bridgewater, from Boston. They come from all over, and they go from the meetings to get their awards. They're competent communicator, they're competent leadership, they're advanced. And it teaches you where you're making mistakes. How many times we go, "Oh yeah, I said 3 times."
Yeah.
You know? We do this all the time. So it makes it very interesting to see what is around. Toastmasters, like the Flint Neighborhood Association, is a 501c3. Southcoast Media is a 501c3. People don't realize that
Right.
we have a lot of nonprofit organizations
Yep.
here. Southcoast Media is an educational foundation. Toastmasters is an educational foundation. Niagara Neighborhood is a community service organization. So when you put these things together, and they all say, "You're negative, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right," understand something, that while it may appear negative, a negative is always in the perception of the receiver. And when you get political, oh, it's worse.
Get it. You're negative off the bat just because you're mentioning politics.
Exactly, you know, or you're suggesting that your candidate's a nitwit.
Right.
Which I
Right.
love to do that.
Right.
One of the big things that I've liked about this program, because I've seen its progression over the years, has been that the only constant that's ever been here is you. You have remained constant. John was a great asset for a long time. And I saw what happened when John had to make a decision that he couldn't do the show any longer. You were kind of beside yourself and lost. And I was like, "You can do this, Carlos. You can
Yeah.
do this." And it was a little bit to find a new co-host, and
Yeah.
you know, Bernadette came along, and
Yeah.
I had no problem with that. And believe me, Bernadette and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
But neither do Carlos and I.
Exactly.
And you know what? We put that aside.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their own opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Business is business, personal is
I
personal.
don't stay mad at anybody.
Right.
It's your opinion. I have my opinion.
Exactly.
And you know what? If we can't dispute it, then what's a conversation?
And you know what?
know?
Disputes make for good
Correct.
government, and
Correct.
it makes for good business.
I don't hold grudges.
Yep.
That's your opinion. That's my opinion.
That's
Hey,
it.
slap me 5 and I'm ready to go.
I guess the only one we together it's on Donald Trump.
Yeah,
We are not supporters of Donald Trump.
Yeah, we definitely see eye to eye.
You know,
on that one.
but with Donald Trump, my opinion does get kind of personal on the business side because we had reached out to the Trump campaign when he was going to Worcester, and we actually went up there. We were trying to get our press passes, trying to get our credentials. And at first, I felt kind of jilted by his campaign until I went outside and I found out Channel 5 people didn't have credentials and Channel 4 people didn't have credentials. I started laughing about it. And what really bothered me most was that the staffers there were like, you can't come in, blah, blah, blah. I said, that's fine, no problem. Well, you got to have Secret Service clearance. I said, there was a Secret Service agent right there. I said, do me a favor. Here's my card. Call down to Washington, speak to this agent, tell him you've got me here, and find out. He did. He says, you've got Secret Service clearance. I said, I'm licensed in Washington, D.C. I have to be. And he started laughing. He says, and they're worried about you. I said, hey, I don't worry about anything. And we were just standing there, and we were having a good time. So we left, and we didn't eat in Worcester. We ate in East Providence at Greg's, which I loved. So it made the night really interesting.
But at one point, I remember that I came in to do a Friday show with you and Chip, and I was announced that he may stop by.
Yes, which is another reason why I'm very upset, because we actually had it set up for any of the presidential candidates to either come in via Skype or Google Hangouts and actually speak on the show, and we could go back and forth. And as you know, we've done that previously with me when I had my surgeries. And it works very nicely. But he was going to be in the area. So with him in the area, we said, hey, come on down.
Right.
And they said, oh yeah, we'll set it all up, and provided there was no problems, we'll just let it happen. And the local person who's running the Trump campaign here in Fall River is Phil Dan. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with him, but I call him Phil Dan, the insurance man. Because if you remember, he ran for office in Fall River some time ago, and they took guns to his insurance office, which is now where Rogers Hot Dogs is. But, you know, Phil's been a staunch Republican for many years, and I like Phil. Sometimes we're on opposite sides of the fence, but again, business is business, personal is personal. And when he found out what happened, he was like, give me everything you sent. So I gave him all the emails, all the letters, everything. And he says, I'm going to get on top of it right now. Now, I don't know if this is a Trump campaign strategy or what it is, but I still haven't heard it back on that. and during the primary, I had called him and I said, Phil, you need to get people in the polls. And he said, why is that? I said, because people are going in to check in who are unenrolled. They're being handed a Democratic ballot without being asked which ballot they want. They could have wanted a green rainbow ballot. You know, I mean, you're supposed to ask. Now, it wasn't happening across the city, and sometimes people really, they get caught up and it just, they want to get through it real fast.
Exactly.
They want to get through it real fast, especially if a line's forming. People don't want to wait.
They get nervous.
Yeah, you know, they're like, you know. So.
It's supper time.
And I turned around and I told him, I said, you need to get some poll watchers down there to watch what's going on. Okay, yeah, we'll get on top of it. Never found any poll watchers.
No,
I never even saw a Trump sign anywhere. Anywhere in Fall River.
No.
But for Fall River to take 62.2% of the vote.
That's amazing, isn't it?
I was like, actually, it's not amazing.
I asked what happened.
I'll tell you what happened. The people are PO'd. They're upset.
Yeah, I understand
They're angry.
that.
They're
Jeepers.
angry at the system the way it is. Because while this is the system we have, it's the best one that there is. And until somebody comes up with something better, we're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, I understand that.
But we have to be sure that when we cast our ballots, we say this at the municipal elections all the time, know what you're voting for. When I look and I see that they elected Sean Kadim with 8,000 votes and change, and I'm like, this is the guy who was there when the 22 windows went in. You know, I mean, and he has nothing to say about it. And then they re-elect Linda Pereira each time. And I'm sorry, Linda, I got to call you out on this because you always say loyalty is important. But your loyalty only seems to go as far as the polls go, because as soon as your old guy, Sutter, lost the election, you were down at the career time, you know, playing kissy-kissy. Now, I understand the politics of life, and I understand the politics in the city, but the people in the city don't want that politics anymore. And all you got to do is look at recent actions of the Housing Authority, recent actions in city government. I mean, legislation by extortion. You either divide DCM into 2 departments, or I fire Kenny Pacheco anyways. That's real good. That's real good administration. And that's not what the people elected these people for.
What I say is people need to be careful what they vote for, because the last mayor, Sutter, got elected because people want to kick Flanagan out.
Right.
But they didn't elect a better one.
No.
They didn't elect nobody to, people liked it what he had to say.
Because he was a great DA. And that's all I keep hearing.
But that's where he could not get himself out of DA mode. That was the problem.
Oh, I know.
I was DA,
yes.
and that's all you ever heard.
But that's the reason why people voted for him.
Right.
Oh, Sam, yeah, he's a great DA.
I know the name.
Never did mayor in his life.
I know the name.
He was a great DA.
Exactly. I know the name. I know what's going on, and that was it.
Right.
But
name recognition.
After Sam was elected, immediately after he took office, he met with my co-host, Bob Camara, and I met with him as well, and we told him what he should do. And Bob had a meeting with him at Not Your Average Joe's in Seekonk, and I guess that's his haunts, where he goes to all the time. And as Bob was telling him what he needs to do, he was blowing up. I mean, he was making a scene in the middle of the restaurant. And when he decided to do the trash fee, he was told, you do this. You do this, you're done.
Yeah.
You just signed your paperwork. Don't even run for office.
Right.
I have to meet the budget, I have to meet the budget. But he did it. And guess what? He was done.
Yeah.
He didn't learn from the purple bags. Now we have another mayor who's in, who I like to refer to lovingly as Boy Emperor, or the Wizard of Snow Owl. And he's going to just abolish the fee, thinking, oh, this is wonderful. But did he take into consideration that's a $6 million revenue source that's gone? So you can abolish it, but where's the money going to come from? Then you have to also look at the fact that he's dividing a department into 2 separate departments. Now, before we had one department with a salary of $115,000. Now we have 2 departments with a salary of $98,000 apiece. Where's the savings?
Yeah, I don't know. I asked the same question.
Yeah, and he did it on the premise that he was going to be able to take the school department and the city building and grounds and put them together. Oh, so either the boy was ignorant, either the boy was ignorant, or he was misrepresenting. Because according to the Mass Building Association, if the buildings and grounds are not kept in the control of the school department, they won't pay for anything.
Right.
So, Mr. Mayor, New Durfee needed, how are you going to pay for it?
And another thing that I think that's gonna have a big play on this on this election or re-election is the fact that the way things going now to privatization is going to make the numbers work for 2 years. But down the road, I don't think that's going to
He can't privatize.
change.
He can't privatize, and he knows he can't privatize. Sunrise Scavengers even told him he couldn't privatize because there's no savings. Do you know why? Because the boy Emperor, when he was city councilor, appointed city councilor, could never elected to office until now, approved a contract for 5 years. Then with a 2-year extension on top of it for 7, that all city municipal waste must, not shall, must go to Republic at the Republic transfer station. So any private hauler who's going to run it for the city has to go to Republic. The solution, get the city out of municipal waste altogether. Let the property owners handle it. And believe it or not, there's a big savings doing that. A huge savings, because the property owner can negotiate the prices. And I mean, even right now, I'm privatized and I've got 2 bins, and I'm looking at swapping out those 2 bins for one small 2-yard dumpster. It's on wheels, they come up, they pick it up, throw it out, boom, they leave, I'm all set. Because I'm paying $23 and change, $23 a month for each bin, but with the small dumpster, it's $40.
So
And they hold a slight amount more than. The only problem I have with getting the dumpster is everyone and the world is going to come by and run to my driveway and throw their trash out.
I know, yeah. Everybody and their mother's going to be
Yeah, exactly.
trash in there.
So, we got to look at that. But, You know, we have people in Government Center, we have people in the community, and we constantly bring up all the dirt. We have a phone number that people can call anytime they like, 774-955-0102, which is our tip line. It strips all information off the phone number. We don't even get that. And people leave their message, and we follow up on it. And the funny part about it is every so often I'll listen to them and say, I think I know that person from Government Center or the school department, or, you know, because you kind of know some of the voices. Yeah, you kind of know some of the voices.
Yeah.
But we protect all our sources, we do.
Right.
But 99% of those are accurate, and we know where to go. And that's what makes it fun.
Well, I used to say in City Hall, when you heard a rumor, it was going to become true.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And it always did.
But
It
you know,
always did.
since you were at City Hall, now, as I tell every elected official, as have told many mayors, there's a mic on every floor in every office in this building, and it goes directly to me. Yeah, that's eavesdropping, that's wiretapping. I said, no, they're people, and they hear it, they pick up the phone and they call me. And they start laughing. So, as I tell people, as much as you may hate me, I do what you can't do. And I get great joy out of that, which is amazing. It's a lot of fun. And it's not that I'm being a pain, or it's not that I'm being difficult. It's because it needs to be done.
Lately, I'm not seeing you too much on city council meetings.
Yes. I made the decision about 5, 6, not even 5 or 6 months, I would say 3 or 4 months ago, that I wasn't going to go to city council meetings unless it was absolutely necessary to give any citizens input. Number one, what I need to say can't be done in 3 minutes, and I always cut myself off. But I have found that I call that the traveling floor show, because number one, I'm going in there to speak to my elected representative. And instead of my elected representative listening to what I have to say, they're on their phone, they're looking through papers, they're on their laptops, they're chit-chatting with each other. You got a mint, you got this, you got that. Hey, I'm over here. When I got to that point that I said, why am I bothering doing this? I said, I'm done. And I had to prove a point at the last city council meeting. I sent a letter to every city councilor with it stated specifically on it that I want it read into the record. To check on it, I went to the city council meeting before it started at 5:30. I asked every city councilor, did you read the letter that was sent to you? They said no. And Allison was there, and so was Colleen. They said, no, I didn't have time. Steve Long even said, look, I got 247 emails. I never read any of them. Then what are you doing?
Yeah.
I didn't have time. Guess what? You're a city councilor. You have to find time.
You elected them into that position.
So I went over to Allison, and she made them all get a copy of it right there before the meeting. It was funny. It was funny. But, you know, we always say on our show, keep angry. Please, keep watching Neighborhood News. Watch Spindle City Straight Talk. Watch The Richard Irvin Show. And watch
It's a lot of good shows. Amigos.
And, you know, we've got a great
That'll
line,
be interesting.
of programming coming out, and we're working hard at doing it. So remember,
Very good.
Southcoast Media and all of us are here.
Channel
and
95.
And we can help you put a show together if you need to.
Sure.
Channel 95 is great. Thank you, FRC Media.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.